Hello and welcome to all. Whoa, a little bit of an echo there. Welcome to All Hands on Tech. And I'm your host, Jeremy Morgan, for the Tuesday live stream. And I am really excited today to be working on our 2D platformer again. It's been fun, it's been awesome. Today, I'm going to try to address some of the problems that we've had with our collision detection. It's been interesting. I'm going to try to put some of our enemies into groups, and so it's probably not going to be as exciting and dynamic and thrilling as some of the streams we've done, but these are things that we need to do to make this a playable, decent game. So that's what we're going to do today. Like I said, really excited to be here, and excited that everybody's joining. So I do this stream every Tuesday at this time. David Neal, my friend and cohort, does a stream where he's also building a JavaScript game on Thursdays. So be sure to tune in and check us out on Twitch. Today we are live on Twitch and YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook. Hopefully all of those we're going to see. But let's jump right into our desktop here. And if this is your first time coming to this stream, I'll give you a quick kind of overview of what we've been working on and what we've been doing. Let's cue up some music today. What kind of music are we going to play today? We're going to play, maybe we'll start out with some dubstep, courtesy of Harris Heller. All right. And I'm going to do a quick tech check here to make sure we are up and live where I just said we were up and live. We are live on YouTube. Awesome. Facebook, maybe. And there we go. Let's see. Facebook, looks like we are up and live on Facebook. And we are live on LinkedIn. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat. We are working on Totally Awesome as a 2D platformer game. I'll bring it up here. When we left last week, it was broken, which I really don't like to do, but we left it broken and we need to fix it. So I will bring up localhost 3000 here. There we go. This is our game. This is Totally Awesome. So you are a toad that runs around and you're a ninja. And you need to collect cherries. Why is there we go. So you're a ninja that runs around and likes to collect cherries, right? And there are some birds that are attacking you. We're going to put in some other enemies at some point also. But there are some birds that like to attack you. Let's load it up. This is like a Super Mario Brothers style game. So last week we put in some health so that you could get hit, so the enemy could get hit more than once. And if I remember right, it seizes up. There's one of the bugs we're going to try to fix today is both of the enemies did not get hit by our ball, but they still exploded anyway. This is something we put in a couple weeks ago where we gave the toad a little bit of defense, if you will. Allowed the toad to defend themselves. So this is what we've been putting through on this stream. If you're new to this stream, we created this JavaScript 2D platformer. We're using the Phaser framework, and we've created this thing from scratch. So we started out with basically nothing, and we've turned it into this cool little platformer game. So we've taken some stuff from the pixel art pack. And I'm dead. And it's timing out. And it's frozen. That's one of the things that we need to fix today. But we've taken some pixel art from the pixel art pack and put it in here. And then I've created some original art. There we go. Got hit once. And I'm not really sure why, but the birds seem to be dying there in the middle of the screen. So we got a lot of stuff that we need to clean up with this thing. So instead of adding more features, which is what I've been doing a lot of feature adding, I'm going to try to clean this up, some of the bugs so that it works better. So if that's something that's exciting to you, that's what we're doing today. Just trying to kind of figure out what's going on here with some of this collision detection and things like that. Now what I wanted to do was make it so that the player can get hit twice before our little toad dies. And I want it so that you have to hit the birds twice also. And it's not really working that great. We'll try to do it here. And one of the things is when the bird gets hit once, it should take off and fly off fast in a random direction. It does that sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. But anyway, this is our 2D platformer. This is the entire level so far. There's no end to it. You just collect cherries, and then once you collect all the cherries, another mad bird is generated, and you just keep starting and going over and over and over. And as you can see up there, we have a health. We're incrementing our score every time you collect a cherry or kill a bird. Your score goes up. There we go. That's how it's designed to be right there, where the bird gets hit once and takes off running. I'm not really sure why, but it's working really, it's pretty sketchy right now. So we are just going to try to figure that out. We're going to try to figure out some of the bugs. And there's another bug that's probably worth figuring out. When the ball goes down in the hole, it just stays there. We should probably make it disappear or something, right? So let's dig into our code a little bit. Let's kind of clean up some of this code, because some of it's kind of terrible, I'll admit. So the first thing I want to do is just kind of clean things up a little bit. I'm going to leave my to-dos in there. But we're going to take out some of this console log stuff. We've got way too much console log going on. And here I'm just kind of cleaning up this. We're going to add more console log stuff back, don't worry, but just kind of cleaning it up a little bit. So one of the things that's different about the way these enemies work is one of the enemies is created as an enemy, as its own entity that hops around, flies around, you kill it. The other one is created as a part of a group. And the reason we did that is so that we could create more of the mad birds. So more of them in the group, and we put it into a group. So I think we should try to figure out how to add both of them into groups so that we can respawn the other bird too. We called that bird enemy. Here's a whole bunch of enemy stuff. And this is the code that animates it, prevents it from going off the screen. And then this is our mad bird code. So maybe we need to put this stuff all together. Bluebird and mad bird. This is for launching a ball. Whoops. Which is, like I said, it's the defense stuff that we were doing earlier. We're launching the ball. This is more player movement. Now let's look at this piece of code here and see if we can figure out what the heck this is all about. If the cursor is down and the player's on the floor, set player velocity minus 250. I don't remember what this one. I think this one's like if you're jumping. Here's some more player movement. And this is all this stuff is player movement here. We don't really need to worry about that yet. Check if player is off screen. And let's see if we can understand exactly what this code does, this move player code. Because I wrote it months ago and I forgot what it does. Let's see what, if we disconnect this, what exactly that means for our player. It means our player cannot jump or launch a ball. So, yeah, that is jump code. Oh, I can see I did comment out launch ball, didn't I? So this is player jump. And now I remember what this is. This is player jump, and the reason we have this statement here, this evaluation, if the cursor is up and the player's body's on the floor, basically we're making it so you can't jump while you're jumping. So if the player's already jumping, they can't jump up again. So that one's fine. Check if player's off screen. Set the health. That's what we were messing with before. This is all in the update function. What we need to start looking at is collision detection. So this is the entire update, right? I'm just going to put end update. This spawn cherries, this create mad bird. Let's do something similar that we did with the mad bird. Let's put the other bird into groups. So I'm just going to clean up some of this animation here. Bird fly, that's enemy animation. Mad bird fly is mad bird animation. So we do want to keep those separate. This animation is jump animation. Player standing. And this one is what? Facing left? Okay. Facing left. Player standing facing right. So I'm just dropping some comments in here to make this a little more reasonable. Turn? Not really sure what turn is. $20. I'm going to see what this turn animation is because I'm not exactly sure, but we'll be able to find out. Turn is called once, it looks like. So turn is called at the very beginning and not after that. So I'm not super concerned about that right now. Running left, running right. So we're going to say player running left and player running right. And today I'm using Blackbox. That's one of the things I should mention. So on this stream, I've been using some helpers, some code helpers, some AI, generative AI tools. I've been using Tab 9 a lot for code completion. Tab 9 is awesome. It's amazing. It's great. And today I'm using Blackbox for code completion. And we're going to see just kind of the differences here. Since I've been using Tab 9 for months, I think most of the people watching are probably familiar with it. But we're using black box this time. And then I'll probably turn on GitHub Copilot and we'll evaluate that one also. So, let's see here. And I do see some code completion stuff coming up. So this is our Madbirds code. We have ball colliders. If the ball hits a mad bird. And this we might have to do some kind of tuning with this, I think, because it's a little bit weird. So the collision detection, there we go, we died. It's a little strange because they should only die if they collide with a ball. And sometimes they just die randomly. Sometimes they get hit by the ball once and fly like this one did. So I would like to clean that up. And I think part of the way to clean that up is probably has more to do with the collision detection settings. Like maybe I could, I don't know, tune it up a little bit. So this is to do, see if we can tune this. Now here's something that's cool about black box is it does searching based on comments. I could say, how do I adjust the overlap here in phaser? And then it brings up a little search window, which is showing me how to install phaser. Isn't super helpful. Standard empty web page. Yeah. I'm going to rate them honestly. Anytime you ask me to rate something, I'm going to rate it honestly. That was not a great result. That was telling me how to install phaser. How can I change settings with this? Physics, add, overlap. Tested by rays. This is using a raycaster. I have no idea. But this actually looks like it could be a good result. This is telling me to use a raycaster, which I've never used before. However, this would adjust the settings of collision detection, so cool. Let's just put that aside for now. And I will try to do that a different time after we add in the groups. So that might have actually been a pretty useful result, I think. So we've got colliders. Touch an enemy. Enemy collider with ground layers. Create an enemy. Create a Madbird group. So what I'm going to do is create a group for the other ones, and we're just going to refactor this a little bit. So create a Madbird group. Create a Bluebird group. We're going to call this Bluebirds. We're going to stop calling it enemy. We called it enemy because we added an enemy to the thing, so we just called it enemy, but we have two enemies now, so calling it an enemy is just kind of silly. So we're going to say this, physics, add, group. We're just going to copy that and say create a Bluebird group. So instead of create an enemy, Bluebird, we're going to we're going to comment all this out. So we've created a Madbird group, created a Bluebird group. Let's go down to Madbirds right here. And we're going to copy this to add a collider for Bluebirds. So it should be some good copy paste stuff to do most of this. If Bluebirds children iterate parameter Bluebird, which we don't have a Bluebird. So that's one thing we will have to address. Then this destroy enemy. So we need to address this. We don't have a parameter of Bluebird. So let's find our Madbird where we're creating. We do this create Madbird. Here we're going to do this create, you guessed it, Bluebird. Let's go down to our create Madbird code. And I think we should just copy and paste this and then adjust it for our purposes to create a Bluebird. Instead of create Madbird, we're now create Bluebird. So this one will be create a Bluebird. Now create Madbird creates a Madbird at a random location, and that's exactly what we're going to do with the Bluebird. So let Bluebird equals this Bluebirds create XY. We're going to call this Bluebird. Actually, we don't need to capitalize that. We'll just Bluebird. And then we're going to set some parameters on this Bluebird. Set its health to 100. Set the bounce. Set the name. The name will be Bluebird. And then we need to add a collider for each of these. So for our Madbird, we need to search Madbird again. This loads sprite sheet. This one we're calling it Bird. We need to call it now Bluebird. Where's the next place we're doing something Madbird related? We do this Madbirds is a physics group. And a ball collider. Instead of this enemy, we're now saying this Bluebirds. We have the count active stuff there. And then animations, I think, are going to be another place. Enemy animation. This one is going to now be Bluebird. For the enemy animation. That's for the bird fly, Madbird fly. Where else are we doing Madbird stuff? Create Madbird. We're already doing create Bluebird. Let's just run this thing and see what else we're missing, because I feel like we're missing something, but maybe not. Physics add group is not a function. That's not true. I probably just mistyped it. Which line is that on? 62. Let's go up to 62. This physics add group. Yep, typo on my part. Cannot read properties. So there is a animation issue here that we can see. Cannot read properties of undefined reading X in 285. 285. Where are you? 285. This enemy, I forgot to change that to this bluebird. Then this bluebird anims play. So we're no longer calling this enemy. We're calling it bluebird. So I knew I was missing something. I just couldn't figure out what. And still at 285, we still have an issue. 285, this bluebird X. I have a feeling I need to create this somewhere else. I need to move this because it hasn't been created yet. And this Madbird children's thing I need to put in for bluebird also. But where are we creating Madbird here? Create Madbird. Probably here. We need to create this. But where are we actually? Maybe we don't need this. I'm going to store this aside. Maybe we don't need this code anymore because we're using the create bluebird function. So I'm just going to stash that aside, and then if I need it later, I will use it later. Let's see if we can find right where it breaks. Oh, it breaks pretty instantly. So, I'm here, children. This one, we need to do the same thing with our enemy. This bluebirds. So like I said, a lot of boring refactoring stuff here, but this should fix that. Nope. Cannot read properties is parent. This doesn't really help too much because it's breaking so early. Let's disable create Madbirds or create bluebirds right now. Let's just see if our Madbird stuff works the way it should. And it does not. Let's see if we can debug this a little bit. Phaser's not defined. So I've kind of had an issue with this in the past, which is why we haven't done a lot of JavaScript debugging. In the debug console, phaser's not defined. Oh, I see. So it's a configuration issue here. Select debugger. But we want to run the game. So instead of game scene.js, run game.js. Now I'll try to launch program. Still says phaser's not defined. So maybe I need to do index.html. Negative. So yeah, I'm not really sure how to set this up for debugging, which is unfortunate because we kind of need it right now. So we're just going to throw the whole thing into debug mode. And we can do that in our game.js. So debug equals true. This should give us a lot more information about what's going on. And it does not. And I'm just going to Google search this to start. We'll see what the heck's going on. See what generally causes that. Passing undefined into a collider. That could be all we need. Because we have colliders all over. Bluebird, bluebird, bluebird. There we go. Enemy collider right there. I think this needs to just go away. All of the enemy stuff. There we go. Now we're running again. Now the collision between the enemy and the player has been messed up. That is not something new. But that's something that we're going to address today. I kind of like this debug mode. It helps you really look at things a little bit differently, huh? Now we've destroyed the enemies. We've destroyed Bluebird and Madbird. So once they're done, we generate a new Madbird. Now we need to generate a new Bluebird also. Once we collect all the cherries. So we can do that in our cherry function. Spawn cherries. Right here where it says this create Madbird. We'll just do this create Bluebird. Now, when we collect all the cherries, it should spawn 2 more enemies. Just like magic. There it is, 2 more enemies. Perfect. So let's take this thing out of debug mode and let's try to figure out our enemy collision stuff when we're colliding enemies and players. And we're going to remove this timing out thing that keeps coming up. So we're no longer in debug mode. We're going to remove this timing out because it's not doing anything anyway. Destroy enemy. Let's see where we're at now. Now I think it's just player collision that needs to be worked on because I think it just freezes the game. Yep. Read properties of undefined. And that is in the hit player function. Let's jump in there and right here. health. This scene start, game over scene. I'm going to comment out all of this fun stuff here. So now hit player should do nothing, right? Now the enemies just bounce off of me. And we could start doing some of the That was a mad bird. Okay. So here we can say console log player was hit. Even though we know that. And then we can uncomment this and say if player was hit, subtract their health. However, we're not going to do the game over scene yet. Player was hit. Console log player health equals player health. We'll display the player health just to see what effect it has on that player. Oops. Player health 100. Player health is now 50. Our mad bird destroyed itself somehow. Should be game over. Start again. And I'll touch the enemy one time. Player was hit. 2 times should be game over. And I really want to figure out why the enemies are dying right here. Who knows? Looks like I have something in the chat. Hello, Richard. Thank you for joining the chat. So we've been working on this game for a couple months. And we started with a phaser, the phaser framework, and we basically just started this thing from scratch, created this little world here. And some of the artwork is original. Some of the artwork is from the Pixel Adventure Pack on itch.io, where they have enemies and blocks and all these kind of cool things. And so we've just put this together. We've added enemies. We've added cherries to collect. So we've done a lot of functionality in this game over the last couple months, but it still has some issues. So we made it so the player can defend themselves. The whole goal is to collect cherries and kill enemies to get points. So it's been really fun. The phaser game framework is awesome. Just a ton of fun. And like I said, we started with just an HTML file and have come up with this on this stream. So thank you for following. And as a reminder, we're not always on LinkedIn, which is kind of unfortunate, because if folks are watching us from LinkedIn, sometimes it just doesn't stream. Sometimes the stream doesn't work. It's a little more reliable on YouTube and Twitch, but we're always on Twitch. Always, always, always. So that's my reminder. If you're watching us, follow us on Twitch, because we're always on Twitch. And we're sometimes everywhere else. YouTube has been great and has been stable. LinkedIn, honestly, has not been stable. It is very much sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Hello, Amir. Thank you for joining the chat. What times I go live? I'm on here every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. So this time every week on Tuesday. We may be increasing the streams at some point, but I'm on here on Tuesday, and David Neal, who is my friend and coworker, is on here on Thursdays. And he's also building a JavaScript game. So if you want to learn how to build JavaScript games, this is a good place to do it because we're both building JavaScript games, but they're totally different types of games. And I should note that David Neal knows a lot more about JavaScript than I do. I am more of a C#, .NET, Python developer. That's kind of my specialty. However, I've dabbled in enough JavaScript to do this kind of stuff. So what I need to do now is kick that game over screen, make it go game over when I touch an enemy. Right now I'm just trying to basically fill this with enemies. We can do that in the code too, actually, if we want to just have fun with it, right? We will spawn more enemies. So this scene start, game over scene. Let's see what this scene looks like. If it's even available. I'm going to say JSON stringify this scene. And let's see what that scene looks like, because that's what's causing the problem, is it's freezing up instead of calling a new scene. It's totally freezing up. So let's get to our game over area here. 1 hit, 2 hit. Okay, should be game over. And it is undefined. This scene is undefined. So maybe I need to pass it in. Let's go where we're calling hit player. Maybe I could pass in this scene like this. And this is a Madbird collider. So let's see if it'll become defined when I hit Madbird. Interesting. That is not the way to do it. So I'm going to take this exact code . When I hit a blue bird, it should... Nope. Circular structure. Okay. So I need to find a way to get that scene. I need to do a game over scene. How was I calling a game over scene? Let's check the Googles. Calling a new scene in Phaser. And I feel like I know how to do this because I've done it, but game, new Phaser game. We are doing that And we have our scenes here. Config, let game, new phaser game. So maybe I just need to call game instead of this dot game, just call game. Scene start. Boom. I was hit, but instantly sent me to game over. Like instantly without the final score. So that's an interesting little dilemma, right? And this is hit player. Score equals this score. That should work, right? Maybe I need to pass in. Let's see. Score. This score. Score is undefined when I hit that one. What if I just say score? I feel like I have, yeah, score is right here. So I'll collect a cherry so that the score is 100. I'm just going to try passing in score. So my score is 100. Now when I hit this player, final score is 0. So this is the figure out why I'm scoping this incorrectly. This is exactly what I put in my to-dos. I am scoping this incorrectly. So let's see if I can figure that out. Score equals score. This score equals 0. I think I can pull these out. Oops. I'm going to pull out all the this scores. And that does just break stuff, doesn't it? But we're going to find the next one. And I'm going to figure out my scoping issue here. Because that score should be available. I made it available in game.js. Score text is not defined. Score is. Still says score text not defined in 200. Oh, that's why. Okay, score is being updated. Now I'll go and... Nope. Thought I could get killed by that bird, but the bird is now gone. There's some more enemies. Now I've got a score of 800, so there we go. Passing over the score, all this stuff worked. However, I only touched that enemy one time, and I was dead. So that's the part that we need to figure out. So we've got the scoping thing fixed. Health text. Player health is also, player health is also global. So let's go down to this hit player function here. Okay, it is scoped correctly now. However, if player health equals 100, that means we're good. We can get hit one more time. But we'll subtract it by 50. Maybe I could just move the player out of the way a little bit when it gets hit. Nope. One collision is all it takes. Let's clear the console. Reset the game. Just do one hit. Dink. We're done. And there's just a whole bunch of hits here. So maybe this raycasting thing is what I need to look into. Maybe that's what I need to do for collision detection. I'm not really sure. Set velocity X is what I was thinking. Just kind of move the player like the heck out of the way when we get hit. This dot player set velocity, and see if maybe that helps, because maybe it's just colliding twice within milliseconds. Nope. There's a little autocomplete from Black Box. Score 100, player health. So it just shows the player being hit a bunch of times. Just a bunch of times. So I think there's something that I'm just not doing right with the collision detection. Like collider, enemy colliders. That's right. We set the enemy colliders when we create the enemy, right? So let's make sure that both of these mad birds can active. Yep. Create mad bird. This is where we create these colliders. We say this hit player. physics, add, collider. I don't see what options are available. See if we can tune this a little bit. Primitive collider types. In 3D, in 2D, you can use box collider and circle collider. So I think I need box collider, but this is rigid body. How do you add? Oh, and this is. I was gonna say this is Unity. That's why I was gonna say it. Oh, you add a rigid body. Overlap only is a Boolean, so maybe we could set that. Callback. So yeah, I do think we need to add a callback in there too. Boolean. Collisions or overlaps? Maybe we just do overlap. Let's see if that's even how you put these positional parameter in there. Negative. Overlap only is not defined. No definition for collider. Mad Bird. This player. Then we call this hit player. Collider. Examples. Phaser. See if we can find a good example of this thing being used the way I want. And this is how we're Phaser 3. All right, physics objects, fix sprite. Sprite group. Group and a sprite. So yeah, Mad Bird. We're setting a collider for the Mad Bird, but maybe we should do the collider for the group, which is Mad Birds. We're going to try that right before we leave. The hour is just about up. Let's try this and see. No. Because it is not reading that Mad Birds group. Create Mad Bird. That should fix it. Negative. Mad Birds is not defined yet. should be. This Mad Birds. Count active true. Yeah. This Mad Birds. Still doesn't like it. All right. That'll be something fun to do next week. Figure out what is going on there. And this one we had just Mad Bird, right? So next week I'm going to look into ray casting, collision detection, and we're going to make this thing work a little bit better than it works right now. And it's still broken. What did I do? Thought I undid everything. Well, why don't I just undo? Literally undo and go back into everything, and it's still breaking. Probably because of that. There we go. So now we at least have a playable version of the game. I will be uploading this to GitHub and the playable version on itch.io today. So we managed to clean up and do a few things. We've made some progress, but there's still much progress to be made. And I want to get this collision detection thing cleaned up. I might do a longer stream next week than this week. I don't really have the time today to do a longer stream, so maybe next week. But I want to thank everybody for coming here very much. Remember to follow us on Twitch. We're always on Twitch. All the time. But I want to thank everybody for coming, all the folks from YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitch. And yeah, we will jump back into this next week. At the same time on Tuesday, I will be here, and we'll get this thing figured out. It'll be fun. All right, thank you for joining, Duncan. And yeah, next time maybe we'll add some more features. As soon as I fix this collision detection thing, I'm going to add some more features. I've got some ideas. Also, any ideas that you folks might have, feel free to send them my way. We want to make the level more interesting and cool and add some more enemies and things like that. So the source code for this, github.com, Jeremy Morgan. I will paste this in the thread here. There it is. Totally awesome. Source code for this game. And I'll post this in LinkedIn. For this game. And then there's a playable version. .itch.io, I think is what it is. itch.io. Oh, there's a whole bunch of Totally games. There's Totally Awesome right there. This is our playable version of the game. Anyway, whoops. That was silly. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I hope to see you all next week. We're going to keep doing some cool stuff. Also, check out on Thursday, David Neal, also doing a stream. David Neal's awesome. You'll want to check it out. But thank you for joining me today, and we will see you next week.